Welcome back. In this scene, we are going to create the effect of a uniform field. So a uniform field is basically a force which creates an effect of a uniform force in a particular directions. And the most important thing regarding this field is that this field respects the overall mass of the particles. So it simply means that the particles with lower value of the mass will move more quickly in comparison to those that have higher values of the mass. Let's do one thing before we apply the uniform field on these scattered particles or on these flowers. Let's create a gravity field because I want to show you a direct difference between the gravity and the uniform field, because gravity fields simply ignore the mass of the particles. Alright, so let's first of all select the particle and go inside the field solver menu, hit the option gravity. So reposition this gravity over here and change the magnitude to, let's say, 25, and change the direction of this field from y negative to the z negative. Alright, so if I play the timeline, you can see all the particles are moving just instantly. So it isn't creating any artistic or any fall of kind of an effect. So this is simply I should say it is destroying the essence of the effect. The simple reason is that because the gravity is not considering the mass of the particles. So when it comes to the word mass, so let's take a look inside the mass also. We select the particles, go inside our attribute and particle shape node, and over here inside the per particle attributes we have a mass. Let's open the expressions by right clicking over here and click the option create expressions. So over here we have the n particle shape 1 dot mass is equals to rand value 1 by 10. It means now we have distributed the random values of the mass ranges between 1 to the 10 to all the particles. Let's take a look further with the values of the mass. So we can do one thing. We can go inside the particle render type and change the mode from points to the numeric. I can type the attribute as the M8SS mass, and now you can see this attribute is now showing you the values. As you can see, some of the particles are showing. Let's do one thing. Let me just hide this instancer for a while, and now if I select the particles, you can see some of these values are having, as you can see, some of the particles are now showing the value of 8 with 2, 5, 3, and there are lots of variations. Alright, so let's do one thing. Let's recall the instancer back and let's change the type from numeric to the point once again. So this is how that expression works. Alright, it actually creates a random value at the birth of the particles. Alright, so now if we play the timeline, you can see all the particles are simply moving. So that's not the way we want our particles to move. So let's do one thing. Let's delete the gravity and now let's bring the uniform field. So let's go inside the field solver menu and use the uniform field, reposition this and press Ctrl A. Let's increase the magnitude to, let's say, 35 units and get rid of the attenuations. As we all know that attenuations is a property of the fields which reduces the magnitude of the fields based upon the distance. The more we have the distance, the less will be the impact of the magnitude, and this function actually executes itself from the point of this field. So let's change the directions to, let's say, the z negative, and make sure that we don't have the distance enabled. That's pretty nice. Now let's play the timeline and you can see such a nice and wonderful effect is now happening. So this is how this beautiful uniform field works. It is simply respecting the mass of the particles. Alright, simply nice, and you can see how beautiful these particles are moving, simply slowly, wonderfully, and they are just it seems like they are moving with respect to the winds and all, and it's creating quite a naturalistic effect. Alright, so let's do one thing. Let's create some very simple and interesting animations with the help of this field. Let's select the field and let's say we increase the magnitude to somewhere around 150 units and put a key over here. Now at frame 20, let's reduce the magnitude to a value of 0. Alright, let's also enable another direction, that is the y, and we use the value y positive. Now particles will move in the 45-degree angle, so you can say the angle between the Z and the Y. Alright, so now let's play the timeline and take down the important change. Let's replay this, and now you can see really very nice effect. So if in case we have to create an effect like this where particles moves in upward directions and also they are moving a little bit forward, so we can create that kind of an effect. And how nice it is that you can simply consider by judging the overall motion of the particles. So I should say the most important thing for this clip is that you must give a value of the mass by simply right clicking over here, go inside the the expression editor, and let me just retype for you once again. Let's say we can simply drag this over here, and let's say this is equals to the rand and 1/10, or you can give whichever value you want. Now hit the option edit and close this, and now the moment you play you'll see a significant change, and that's something really very nice. All right, so that was all about a quick look inside the uniform field, and now um, we can conclude the difference between the gravity as well as the uniform field. All right, now let's move to the next clip.